Hello, YouTube subscribers. Today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I am doing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie review. Um, um, I, I went with a friend, my coworker Barrett. He, as a birthday present, a late birthday present, but it's fine because um, I choose the movie because he originally thought as a real quick birthday present we would go see Fast 10, but I'm like, not trying to be mean, Fast X if you want to be technical, but I'm like, you know what? Why don't we wait? I know it'll be a late birthday present, but I don't care. At least I would know we both would enjoy the movie of and wait a couple of weeks and go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. He's like, what day? I told him today, like basically the 8th. And right, today's the 8th. Yeah, the 8th. And which last week it came out. Last weekend it came out in theaters. The first weekend. Today's the second weekend. Um, um, Jumping right into this. Basically, we got to the theater. We got in our seats, and the trailers played, which I really found it funny because while him and I was at work, normally we have time to bullshit, and which I really found it funny because the trailers that played before the movie was the animated new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the Indiana Jones, um, Transformers. There was one more, but I can't remember what that one last movie was. And then when the movie played, it it kind of real quick just drops you in right away. But I like the detailed wise. I'm going to detailed wise that I did like the beginning because it did remind me in the beginning of which, okay, yeah, I could say it as the same for um the first one as well, but I didn't. In this one, I liked this, and I can gladly say, this reminded me of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 opening. Yes, he didn't talk. It was more visualizing of what happened in the first movie, but Gwen Stacy talking and showing us basically not just what's happening to her in her reality, not just her missing Miles, not just her talking about her origin story and that she missed her Peter, and that reminding us that she pushed everybody away, almost her dad, that basically she's on the breaking point and that she can't, and it also give us some visuals of what's gonna happen later in the movie. So, there's that too. I also caught that. Um, and then I like the graphics of the movie of each different Spider-Man and woman. The graphics of the artwork, the page, the cartoon animation to Spider-Gwen, because I did like how there was different colors and different artwork with Gwen Stacy, where there's like most parts it shows the divide parts between her and her dad, divided parts of what her dad stands for and what she stands for, which tries to be the same thing, but it's still separate. Um, at first, it does feel like a Gwen Stacy movie, but it does later on. But you actually see why they touch a little more longer on Gwen Stacy's life, because she's so, somehow, some way, she tangled, which this could be another, I just thought of it now, could be another uh, anomaly. That basically, since she feels a connection, a really strong connection between her and Miles, like a relationship, boyfriend girlfriend tanglement, and she can't get away from it, and neither can Miles. And so that I can understand why they touch a little more, with a bit longer with Gwen Stacy's story, because it it deals with Miles. Um, but and Miles, I just loved how Miles is trying to get back to his mentor, Gwen. The which how he misses Gwen a lot more, but he does miss his mentor. To Penny Parker, to Spider Pig, to Spider-Man Noir, and trying to figure out of, okay, how to deal with my normal life with my Spider-Man life, and should I tell my mom, should I tell my dad, will they understand, or will they hate me and reject me? And can I and figure and realizing and while he's trying to figure that out, he's struggling to still keep that relationship he has with his mom and dad, because more and more he's being Spider-Man, the more and more is a tearing away the connection that he originally had with his mom and dad. That's why he is very torn on, should I tell him, should I not tell him, would they still welcome me, will they basically reject me? So there's that. Also realizing, oh shit, when I stopped the Collider, I created my own villain. The Spot. Which, not trying to be mean, I always thought the Spot, when I originally watched and grew up with grew up with the 1994 Spider-Man animated series, and when I saw the Spot, I didn't think anything of it, even though when I was young, I didn't consider him as a threat of a villain. But looking back on the 1994 Spider-Man animated series, I still didn't consider him as a threat. I considered him as a B-list villain. And while I grew older and got more connected to Spider-Man and branched oh, and branched more to other superheroes on Marvel and DC, I started creating my A and B villain list. For Spider-Man, my A list was kind of long because you got Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard, blah 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 blah. The Spot was still on the B list. And then when I got to the year in 2020, that's when I realized something. Tom Holland does not have much to choose from left. Unless they recycle the villains that they basically just showed in No Way Home. And including, they could recycle Quotidian since it is in a different universe. But to actually have Tom Holland to have his original villains to his roster, like Tobey Maguire, he got Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, Harry Osborn, Green Goblin, and Venom. Original roster. Andrew Garfield, he has at least three original villains that's to his roster. The Lizard, the Rhino, and Electro. One recycle villain, which was Harry Osborn, Green Goblin. Tom Holland, so far, he gotten 4 original villains to his roster. The Vulture, the Shocker, the Tinkerer, and Mysterio. Oh, and rumored 5 original, but he hasn't gotten his suit yet. But human form haven't gotten his suit yet. The Scorpion. So, technically, Tom Holland is left with the Spot, which at the time I still consider as a B villain. The Scorpion, which I considered as a villain. Tombstone, A villain. Hammerhead, A-list villain. So yeah, those 4. I looked at those 4 and I'm like, oh, and I'm not trying to be mean to Far From Home, but Hydro Man, which I did consider as a villain, and Multiman, which I also considered as a villain, which they could still do in Tom Holland's universe, in Tom Holland's movies, because let's face it, in Far From Home, you can't really consider that as slap Hydro Man and Multiman with what we got in Far From Home, please. They were computerized motion capture computer scenes used by Mysterio, not actual real villains. So, but anyway, getting off topic. So, Spot, growing over the thought of how to make Spot a A-list villain. I actually thought of it going into more of his actual origin story, and even though he could be considered as a joke B-list villain, he can actually be, once he rises up to the thought of it, a A-list villain, and this movie just proved it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse just proved that thought of how Spot, the B-list villain, could actually put his thought into it, could rise up and be an A-list villain. And the artwork, animation for him in this movie was awesome. How he was just like, okay, how hard could this be? Yeah, yeah. And how he, at first, he was just kicking his own ass, which was just hilarious. But also agitating me because it was just, oh boy. Trying to watch Miles to kick his ass, it was just agitating. But also really awesome. Because it was also watching him to kick his own ass. Um, but his animation, how he went from white with black pure dots, and then how he actually realized he went into himself. Sounds wrong, I know, by putting it that way. Mind out of the gutter. But anyway, and he realized by the portals he was around of, he he could jump from universe to universe. And by the way they explained his origin in this, it was actually more understanding how he could physically do that. Miles stopping the collider, and by that the guy that Miles hit with a bagel, which I'm sorry, I got hit with so me growing up, I got hit with so many different things. A dodgeball. I got hit with a freaking dodgeball. A soccer ball. So many different things. A bagel? Big whoop. I'm not trying to be mean, but hell. And standing right next to the thing that he created, which could make a black hole. And that's what turned him into, and by the blast of the collider and his invention, uh, which I actually didn't think of how the possibility how much damage it could hurt other people, of how Miles could have just created a villain right there and then. But the and then how Spot, after Spot went to a different universe, found another collider that wasn't damaged, and used it to make himself more powerful. And then and the design he looked after with the lined, uh, lined, the lined white, um, not circles, but swirl around his body, and how his whole entire body went from white to black, and his black dots went from complete black dots to white swirls, lined swirls. And how that made him really strong. So, that was cool of a graphic and mostly action scene. I liked it. Spider-Man India. Spider-Man India was cool. Punk Rock Spider-Man. At first, he annoyed the living fuck out of me. I'm gonna say that as much. Because once he pops in and Miles trying to prove himself, it's like, seriously, dude? And how, and when we first get introduced, how fast he was talking. Seriously? No one can talk that fast unless you're fucking Flash. But it's like, come on. Until the movie slows down and he takes off his mask and he's just sitting around, standing around, not even giving a shit, and he's just talking calmly. That's when you can understand him, and by the time that you can, he's actually pretty funny. He's actually pretty cool. Uh, uh, um, Um, and so and his animation, how he went from how he there's like comic pages to animation was actually really cool. Um, basically the whole animation, the whole artwork between each Spider-Man was very cool overall. It once again made the movie the way it's supposed to be. So honestly, if it wins another Oscar for basically the animation that I did, I would not be shocked. Um, Storyline's good. I liked the storyline. Uh, Finding out that Miles was never supposed to be bit, the spider was from a different universe, which that's I actually want to comment down below if any of you guys ever caught that in the first movie, that basically in the first movie, which I never realized until Monday when I did a review for the movie, that the spider was glitching. And how it was well, I noticed I did glitch, but when it did glitch, I didn't remember exactly that it was because of the reason of from being in a different universe. I paid attention to that theory after Peter B. Parker, threw that out there. And how the spider was from a different universe, and how I went to Miles. Miles was never supposed to be bit. That his Peter Parker was never supposed to die. And so he's an anomaly. And the whole Spider-Verse. So, and basically, that's where the whole theory went from Gwen and Peter B. Parker, that okay, you captured him, you caged him. Now what are you gonna do? Because you've gone too far. You've been going too far ever since we're starting this conversation. Which my thought went directly to, he was gonna kill him. He was going to terminate Miles because he was an anomaly. He was never supposed to be bit, including his Peter Parker died, so technically, either other way, his universe is fucked. His universe is screwed because basically, by 2099's Spider-Man's point of view is that it will never have a Spider-Man again. So by that thought going into my ear, into my brain, made me think, okay, he's gonna kill Miles. So, it it's a lot to take in, but also and what's also a lot to take in if you're not used to it is basically it shows the same branch as we see in Loki for a few minutes, and then it goes into the a Spider-Man's web, to show each different universe of Spider-Men and Spider-Women. Which, honestly, Miles Morales and 2099 Spider-Man's name calling it both sound stupid. Well, not Miles, but 2099. Because Miles said the Spider-Verse. 2099 Spider-Man said, what? That's stupid. No, it's arachnid something universe. verse. And he's like, okay, by putting it that way, it does sound stupid. Um, so it's a Spider-Verse. Cares what its name. It's Spider-Verse. It actually sounds cool. But anyway, it's show by 2099 explaining basically there's a line by every spider web connecting from one spider universe to another. It's a repeat of what's gonna happen to each different universe, to each new Spider-Man and woman. That, okay, A, they lose Uncle Ben. They lose a father figure, a mother figure, whatever. It happens. That's the destiny. That's the pattern. It's gonna stay on that pattern. Nothing will change. For Miles, Sony screwed that idea. Sony's like, you know what? Even though we're sharing Tom Holland with the MCU, we want to still have a Spider-Man in our own pocket that we can just keep the whole buttload. You know what? Let's give Peter Parker's origin story and give it to Miles. Miles' dad can live and his uncle can die. Comic book story. Original origin story. Which the video game of Miles Morales, PS4 Marvel's Spider-Man, still get Miles. He lost his dad. His mother lived. He lives with his mom. His uncle's still alive. He comes across his uncle, finds out his uncle's the Prowler, fights as the uncle, and continues as Spider-Man. Which that does turn out to be in Miles' own video game. In the Spider-Verse cartoon, he loses his uncle. So, since Sony gave Miles Peter Parker's origin story instead of his own, he loses his uncle, keep both of his parents, and then in this one, it explains that's why Sony did what they did. No, I'm sorry. Bullshit! Comic fans will call that bullshit, and so will I. And I'm not much of a comic book reader. I don't read very much. I searched it up on YouTube or Google or whatever. If I can't get the comic book in hand, and if I can, I just read it right there and then in a bookstore. I don't buy it. So me sitting in the theater, hearing 2099 Spider-Man just saying that it's a pattern and needs to stay that way. You can't fuck with it, because if you do, it creates a black hole. Really? Okay. How about this thought? Screw it. It's gonna be fucked anyway. Not trying to be mean. It's... Anyway, I'm getting off topic. It's a video for tomorrow. Basically, the explanation is that it's a pattern and it has to happen this way, and if you fuck it up, black hole happens, the universe will die. And then Gwen and Peter B. Parker, Gwen gets Peter B. Parker, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Pig, Penny Parker, and a few others to start her own spider team to save Miles Morales from 2099 Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and Ben Reilly Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider. While Miles Morales Spider-Man accidentally gets stuck because when he was trying to get home, because 2099 Spider-Man created the machine where if it scans you and reads what Earth you're from, what universe you're from, it can take you home. Miles, since he got bit by a different universe spider, the machine sent him home. It sent him home, but just by the universe that the spider was from, not where Miles was from. So it ended with a really fucked up cliffhanger. I was pissed because I was expecting at least some happy ending type thing, which it was partly happy ending and then partly not, because Miles got stuck in the universe that the spider was actually in. Coming to find out, that Miles in that universe is actually the Prowler. His uncle helps him with all the Prowler shit. His dad actually died, and his mother is still alive. Okay. And that there's no, there's no Spider-Man, no Peter Parker, no actual Spider-Man in that universe. So, since it was a 42 spider number, was it actually supposed to bite that universe Miles Morales? Since in the comics, Miles Morales does get bit by the spider that has the number 42. So, that's my question. That's my theory. Question / theory. So, yeah, it just, it leaves you on the edge of your seat, but it also agitates you and excites you for the next one, because you're left with a very fucked up cliffhanger, but it gets you excited for the next one because it left you on the edge of your seat. Do I? And at first, changing Spider-Woman, the pregnant Spider-Woman, to white from black. At first, like every other fan of that comic, I'm not really a fan of Spider-Woman because most variants of Spider-Woman isn't really a spider character at all. Was I pissed off about it like everybody else, every other Spider fan? A little bit. But that's only because I was hearing a lot of shit over those times. So but watching the movie and actually hearing the actress doing most of her lines and most of her comedy, it actually fits. You lose interest of the issue of being that they changed the color, but and you let go of that whole issue and you actually love that character overall still. 2099 Spider-Man, he pisses you off, but again, it's the way he is, his attitude and shit. There's nothing really you can do. I mean, if he didn't really have the piss off attitude, Dark Knight, Batman, grinny attitude, which, okay, first of all, speaking of Batman, I got 2 Batman feelings, like a bunch of Batman feelings from this movie. Honestly, Ben Riley, my life has no meaning. My life sucks. Am I the real Peter? Am I the clone? My life is doomed. Emo Batman 81. 2099 Spider-Man. Slowly coming down to talk to Gwen and Miles. Very Batman-ish. Just without his see-through technology web red cape. So it's like very Batman-ish. I'm not complaining. I mean, I that's actually one of the parts I actually found funny, but mostly annoying. Because I'm like, am I watching a Batman multiverse film or am I watching a Spider-Man verse film just with Batman in it? So overall, do I give this movie a go to the theater or wait for DVD? I say go to the theater. It's a movie theater movie to see. Like I said on Monday when I did the first movie review, I do recommend you guys to go watch, if you guys can get your hands on the first movie, watch it beforehand, then go and see the latest one. Beyond the Spider-Verse. I heard that it originally was supposed to be out next year around March. I think March. If I remember correctly, March 29th of 2024. But I will quickly just heard it might be on a delay. Where once again, we might actually have to wait a year and a half for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse instead of getting it right away next year. It's a might. It's a rumor. Once that rumor is confirmed, that's when I'm actually worried. But hearing that it's a rumor kind of gets me a little worried because I do not want to wait a fucking year and a half again for a sequel. One last sequel we're gonna get of the Spider-Verse cartoon movie, which I'll explain more probably in tomorrow's video, because I already spent half of this review going on a tantrum, which I can do tomorrow. Okay, for this sequel to come out for us, I had to wait for this sequel as long as we did, was understandable. Because we had COVID, we had backlashes, almost the apocalypse events happening. So, understandable for this sequel to take as long as it needed. But this next one? Come on. Should be no reason to have to wait a year and a half, 2 years even, for this sequel to this one last sequel to happen. Unless Sony is just asking for this one last sequel for fans to hate. Even if it's a good Spider-Verse movie. But anyway, if you drop a comments down below if you've seen it. Have you seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? What did you guys think of it? What did you guys like? What did you guys not like? Which spider character was your favorite spider character to at least see, to not to at least see at least as a main character for a minute. Did you guys like the story plot? Did you guys not like the story plot? Did you guys like at least the main villain, which Spot is still the main villain, not 2099 Spider-Man. Please hit this like button if you guys liked it. If you guys didn't like it, that's fine. At least you guys left a comment if you guys want to leave a comment. Which I do love your guys' comments. I do. I can't talk. I've been having an off day. I do like when you guys do like my videos. I do like when I do see you guys comment on my videos. If you're a old subscriber and you just stop by to watch this video because you guys like watching my videos, that's cool. Awesome. Thank you. If you're a newcomer just dropping by one of my random videos, awesome. Please hit that subscribe button because I welcome with old and new subscribers with open arms. Always open arms. I do not ever hate my subscribers. I always love my subscribers, and thank you for the 175 subscriber number. That's how much I appreciate you guys. So yeah, have a nice day, have a nice night, whenever you're watching this. Peace.